It's the next day and I'm still waking up. I'm doing a video where I'm reading all the new releases that come out this month, but a lot of them are series that I have not continued. So we have to continue those series to read these new releases. So I thought it would be a fun video just to read for the week with me, or maybe the rest of the month. We'll figure it out. Next Tuesday, Wisteria comes out. So I'm currently reading Foxglove, and I'm so proud of myself. I started this book on camera. I usually start books off camera, then come in here talking about, let's read together, girl. Our first book that we started, well, no, technically in the ARC video we started that book together, but you know what I'm trying to say. We started this book together. We're gonna finish this book. We're gonna read a couple more. I'm excited. If you guys don't know, Foxglove is the second book in the Belladonna series. There's 3 books. The 3rd book comes out on Tuesday, and let me tell you what I love about a series. I love when series picks up where the previous book ends, and Foxglove does that. So it wasn't hard for me to get back into the world. I immediately knew where we were. I love the new characters. In this book, you get Blight's point of view, which is Cigna's cousin. So to give you guys a little information about this book, as one does, Belladonna is about this girl named Cigna, okay? And this book takes place in like Bridgerton time, but more gothic feel, okay? Cigna, she could see the dead. Like, she could see souls that are just trapped here on Earth. She sees Death himself. Death is like the Reaper. The first encounter she had with Death was at her parents' ball. And I guess the wine was poisoned and everybody died. Everybody. Even her parents. Cigna should have died too as a baby because she had her mother's poisoned breast milk, but she didn't. And she realized she had a gift around 7, 8 when she fell down the stairs and she broke her neck, and she was back up and at it within seconds. She felt as though Death was cursing her in some way. So now she's a teenager. She's been hopping house to house because everybody's been taking her in to get her inheritance. She lands at this lady's house. I think it's her cousin's. It's her cousin's husband's mother. I could be so wrong. She ends up in that house and she decided she's going to take some belladonna berries. Belladonna berries are very poisonous. She eats them so she could talk to Death and figure out like, hey, why you cursing me? So she takes the belladonna berries so she could talk to Death and figure out why he's cursing her. And when she does, she barricades herself in her room. She's talking to Death or whatever. The lady comes in. She ends up hitting her head, dying. And she was like, I knew you were a witch. I knew you were a witch. But then she ends up going to live with her daughter's husband. The daughter died a long time ago. And now her cousin, the man's daughter, which is Black. There's a lot of family thingies going on. I need you to try to stay with me. She's currently ill, and
I said the wrong thing here, but remember, Cigna could see spirits, and she ends up seeing Blight's mother, and she says, save my daughter, because she's being poisoned just like I was.
She takes on the task of figuring out who's trying to attempt murder regarding her cousin Blight, and Death helps her along the way. And of course, they have a little romance. And at the end of the book, she finds a culprit. Blight is doing better. They end up going to their first ball together, and why someone gets poisoned. Only one person. She sees Death, and then a new character pops up, Fate. The beginning of this book picks up literally where that book leaves off. They're in the ballroom. She's introduced to Fate. She learns that Fate is Death's brother. He has some vendetta against Death because Death is the Reaper. He collects dead souls, and I guess he killed the love of his life, Fate. So now that Death has his own little happy romance going, he's trying to get revenge. And it's so cool, Fate's power, because Death, I don't know, how do I explain his power? If he touches a living soul, they die. He only comes to collect and moves them on. He's able to create shadow portals to get him places where he wants to be. I feel like there's more to that power, but right now I can't think of any more. But Fate's power, he's literally like a puppeteer when it comes to the living souls. He commands their will. He can make them believe what they want, do what he wants. It's crazy. His power is amazing. And if you really think about his power, because he's in love with arts, any type of arts but poetry, it's totally understandable because he literally creates people's life. So creating a work of art is not far-fetched from him. He pretends to be this prince and no one questioned it because, again, He can control what people believe. When he comes back to town, he wants to meet Signa. And for some reason, he's saying that he's known Signa, that they've met before. And he's trying to get her to remember, but she can't remember. And I'm trying to figure out how they know each other. So far, that hasn't been disclosed. But he comes so he can meet her, get revenge on his brother. So he comes back. But I'm bad at explaining. Keep in mind, people can't see death unless he transforms into like his mortal body. But for the most part, he's like a ghost. But people could see fate. And he has people believing he's some prince. And he has this palace in Wisteria Gardens. And it's so massive, so grand. And Signa's onto this man. She's like, I got my eye on you. He ends up bumping into Blythe first, and Blythe remembers him because at the ball, he made everybody believe that her dad was the killer. So she's like, I remember you, and I hate your guts, but I'm gonna pretend I like you, get on your good graces, because you have the power to literally sway everybody's opinion. Mind you, she doesn't know that he's fate. She just knows he's a wealthy, rich prince, and she needs his help to get their family's name on good graces with society. And you know, back then, gossip was the make or break to a family's reputation. So she's like, we need to keep our family's name in high regards right now, especially with her dad being accused to be the murderer. She ends up dancing with Fate, and then Fate ends up dancing with Signa, and she's asking him a series of questions, and he's just like, you're not going to ask why I'm here, why I want to meet you or whatever. And she's just like, no. And he's like, well, I need to ask you a question. Do you know this song, the song they're dancing to? And she's like, no. And he's like, please, I need you to remember this. And she was like, I've never met you, I would remember. And he was like, no, you wouldn't, not if we met in another lifetime. I have a strong feeling that Signa is probably the love of his life that he lost, and now that she's reincarnated, she's in love with death, and Fate don't like that. But I could be wrong, but I really feel like Fate and Blythe are going to be a thing. Mark my words. Remember when I said I think Signa is the reincarnation of Fate's past lover? I was right. So I finished Foxglove a while ago, and I would talk about that book now, but I need time to remember what I read, because I'm the type of person to read a book, I forget everything I read. In the meantime, we're going to talk about Wildfire. This is the book I'm currently reading. There's a lot I want to talk about. I took notes of them. I wrote them down. So let's go through our list, shall we? So the first thing is how parallel this book is to Icebreaker. And I know it's a part of a series and they're supposed to have the same characters, blah, 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 blah. But when I say parallel, I literally feel like I was reading Icebreaker, just in another book. The boys throw a party. They meet this girl at this party. They take the girl up to their bedroom. They talk. They get to know each other. Then they do. Literally the same scenario in a different book. Then the second thing is there's too many characters to remember. Too many. I'm sitting there texting my friend, who's Henry? Who's Russ? Who's JJ? Was Chris and these other people in the first book? After a while, I gave up and I said, we're just gonna figure it out. These are gonna be new characters until I figure out who they are and if they was in the first book. The third thing was, so again, Wildfire takes place at a camp. The first book took place at the college, okay? The first few chapters, it was them arriving to the camp and doing icebreakers, getting to know their colleagues and setting up the camp for the campers. And again, that took a few chapters. So I'm like, they're supposed to be here all summer. Just from those few chapters, I was like, this is going to be a long, slow book. A real slow book. And that leads me to my fourth thing. The book was slow, but not like painfully agonizing slow. It was cutesy slow, if that makes sense. And a lot of the things were very predictable. Like in the beginning of the book, they do, and then the rest of the time, they don't do nothing. They're walking on eggshells with each other. They're being friends, flirting, but not really flirting. It's all banter, and even the banter is really mild. And then when we get to some action, you saw it coming. It was so obvious. It's raining outside. She's scared of thunder. Her roommate, and then what's his name? Russ's roommate. They both end up being on camper duty for the night, so they're sleeping in the adjoint cabin with the campers. Her lights go out. She goes to Henry's cabin. It doesn't take a rocket science to tell where that was leading to, okay? But in Icebreaker, it was like she build up that tension for the readers. It was like the banter was top tier. They were kissing here, touching there. So when they started, interacting with each other, we was all built up for it. There was no build up for that in this book. And then my last thing, which is more positive compared to the rest, I like how she brings awareness to people, not even people, but the families who have to deal with someone with a mental illness, because a mental illness, again, it's mental. It's not something you can physically see. She communicates it so well for the people who have to deal with someone with mental illness, how they may not understand it to a T, but she still validates their feelings from being hurt by these people with mental illness. I feel like I picked up this book at the right time because I'm feel seen. My feelings are validated. I could have picked up this book when it first came out, but I decided to pick this book up during a time where I can relate to it. I really appreciate that about this book. And then as far as Foxglove go, I don't want to sit there and finish telling y'all the storyline because I just feel like I'm going to end up spoiling it for you guys because that's just the type of person I am. So if you want to know what happens in Foxglove, I highly recommend you go read that book. That whole series. This is the only thing I'm gonna say about it. I was so wrong about Signa being life. She is not life. And I was right about Blythe and Fate. I mean, that probably was a spoiler, but see, this is what I'm talking about. But I highly recommend reading it. Miss Adeline Gray, she put her foot in this series, okay? I don't know what's about this series that have me in such a chokehold, but it is so good. That's really all I have to say. I can't wait to read Wisteria. I told you guys, this video is me reading all the books I need to read so I could read all the new releases this month. And the third book, Wisteria, and the third book, Daydream, comes out for both of these series. So I highly recommend going to watch that video. It will be up at the end of this month. I am so... I'm so excited. But I'm currently on page 235, chapter 24. And I'm gonna continue reading. officially finished Icebreaker. Ooh, the receipt's falling out. We officially finished Icebreaker. What? We have officially finished Wildfire. I don't know what is going on. And my overall rating for this book is 3 stars. It was an entertaining read, but I don't think it's my cup of tea. As I said in my previous clips, the banter was mild. There was no tension build up for the chemistry between them. I feel like all they did was trauma bond. And prior to reading this book, I saw a lot of reviews on TikTok talking about a pointless third act breakup. And usually when a third act breakup happens, it happens halfway through the book, maybe even 3/4. Why did it happen 3 chapters before the book ended? And it literally lasted 3 seconds. It was so pointless. I didn't understand it. I don't know why she put that in there. The Barnes & Noble special edition, I know I took the sticker off, but this is a Barnes & Noble special edition. And it had an extra bonus chapter of Aurora going to her first hockey game to support Russ. I thought it sounded weird. This book was mid, in my opinion. But overall, I do recommend this book. It is entertaining, and I feel like this could be someone else's cup of tea. It just isn't mine. So to recap, we read Foxglove and Wildfire. I recommend both of these books, but I highly recommend Foxglove. I recommend this whole series. If you want to see me continue these series, go watch my next video. It will be up by the end of this month. And to be honest, I don't think I'm going to be able to get to Daydream in that video, but I'm going to try my best. But that's all for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in my next one.